Hey there. I want to talk about AFM because I've been getting a ton of emails and messages from filmmakers that have been asking about AFM this year. And I think that's really, especially because it is virtual. So it is much more accessible for the average filmmaker to check out this AFM thing that they've heard about for, I'm sure, years and years. And so I wanted to do this video just to share a little bit more information about AFM. I personally, as a filmmaker, have been going to AFM since 2008. And I can say that I do credit my career in large part to the American film market. What I have found and what I tell filmmakers over and over is I feel that in order to be a successful filmmaker, you need to be smart, but you also need to learn and start understanding the end of the process so that you can start smart. So it really is important to understand the end in order to start and to reverse engineer everything and every aspect of your film to set it up for success in the best way possible. And that's what American film market really allowed me to do. So that was 2008 that I started going, and I feel like I really got down a pattern. I knew exactly how to navigate the market and the tricks and the ins and the outs. And of course, now it's virtual, so all of that is it's a completely new landscape out there now. But then I was very privileged that in 2014, I was very honored that the American film market actually featured me as a filmmaker in their international campaign for the festival. And they actually shared my story and how the American film market has affected my career. So it's really been a big part of my filmmaking success for sure. So when filmmakers are asking about the market, I did a couple things. I called up a couple distributors that I know, and I asked them for the skinny. How is this market going to be different? How are they treating it? And then I also, I want to provide as many tools as I can so that you can educate yourselves and make smart decisions or just learn a little bit more. So I am going to talk about a couple things today, but we also have set up a happy hour to, spend an entire hour with distributors to talk about the American film market. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But I would say that in general, what is so cool about this year's American film market is that, like I said, it's accessible, it's affordable. It used to be that the only way to experience the market was to fly out to Los Angeles, stay several nights. I always encourage, and most people, when you read about how to navigate the market, they tell you go to the second half of the market. Your buyers are there the first half to sell the films they already have. So they are not necessarily meeting with filmmakers. And partway through the market, that's when they do their conference. And then, of course, there's time to be able to meet with some of the distributors. So your average person is staying out there for 4 to 5 days. All of that costs a lot of money. I mean, you'll be lucky if you really pinch pennies to be able to do it for $1,000. But usually AFM is upwards of $1,500 to $2,000 just to go to the market and to travel out there. And what's really, really cool about it being virtual is anybody can go from, the comfort of your own home. And the only cost is really that admission. So I think for that reason, it's providing a really great opportunity for a lot of filmmakers otherwise would not be able to participate. Now, the two, reasons that I would suggest people go to the market, the two top things I think are going to be really strong at this market is they are providing networking. Though from what we could see, I haven't actually obviously been a part of it yet, but from what I can see, they're setting up opportunities for you to really network with other filmmakers. So if you are a screenwriter who has scripts that you are hoping to find a producer that's going to champion, or to find other filmmakers to bring on your team, whether it's a director, producer, maybe some key crew, I think that that opportunity is going to be really, really high at this market to be able to network. So, getting ready to be able to pitch other filmmakers to take your project on is going to be key. The other thing that I think is really neat about this market is obviously you have access to all of the educational panels with professionals and educational courses that you would normally have at a conference that was in Los Angeles. And again, you can attend from your laptop. So if education is important to you and that networking with other that community of other filmmakers, I think that the virtual uh, American film market is something that you really should consider. Now, the thing that I think is going to be very different is your actual exposure and ability to meet the distributors and sales agents. I think it's a misconception of a lot of filmmakers that the American film market is where you go, you get a distributor signed on to your project, and then you're golden, or you get financing for a project. And while there are stories, there are the exceptions, and there are stories, absolutely does happen. I think it's very key that everybody keep in mind that the sales agents that are there, their main objective is to sell their films, the films that they already have in their lineup. And they're meeting with buyers that have come in from all over the world. So that's their number one focus. Now, when you have every sales agent and every distributor in Los Angeles and across the world in two hotels in Los Angeles, the cool thing is you have their undivided attention. So if you're actually at the physical market, what was always really golden is that you ran into these people getting coffee at networking events, out at lunch, or getting a drink at night. Or if you caught them at a time where they had a little bit of extra time, then you could possibly get a meeting. But it's not their top priority. It's also why, filmmakers or the distributors and sales agents schedule all their meetings with filmmakers on the second half of the market. And they schedule it then because that's usually when things are dying down with their buyers. They're there, they have to be there, they've got everything set up, and that's the time where you can meet with them. Now, the problem is virtually they're not just sitting around virtually waiting for a filmmaker to show up. So my fear was, are you going to have access? Now, the good news is I talked to several of the distributors that I know, and they did say that they are going to have somebody in their office that will be accepting and setting up appointments on the latter half of the market with filmmakers. Now, the key is you technically, that's not happening through the market itself. They are scheduling those meetings through Zoom in the cases that I know of. So you want to reach out to them to schedule the meeting, but you don't necessarily have to be signed up for AFM in order to do that. Now, no, it's not something that's going to happen. It's not like AFM in this app is setting you up. That's something that you have to be proactive. So it's really important that you find who are the top 5 or 10 distributors that are right for me, target them, be very specific, and then reach out to them. On the AFM website, anybody can pull up the attendees. And there is a hyperlink that allows you to go and see who's going to be there and allows you to reach out to their office. And that's how you can reach out to see if you can schedule a personal meeting. And they're doing 10 and 15-minute slots. So it's not a lot of time, which is why having your pitch down is super, super key. But I did want to point that out, that you don't have to be signed up for AFM to do that, and that you are going to have to be proactive, because that's not something that's just organically happening because you signed up to go to AFM virtually. So as I said in recap, it's if you're there to with a script and you really want to sell your film and you want to with to another producer, get it maybe optioned, or find your team and find your tribe, or to really just build your knowledge and take in some of the educational opportunities. It's really, really great. It looks like it's very easy to navigate. And I've heard nothing but positive things about it from people that have had a chance to do test runs. I just want to manage your expectations as far as the distributor and the sales agent side of things. So those are my initial thoughts. There's so much more that I want to get into. What materials should you have? What makes a good pitch? What are distributors looking for? And so what we've done is I've set up at one of our happy hours. We do it every other week. They are free. So all you have to do is sign up and you'll get the link. Our next one is October 28th. And when I started getting all these calls about AFM, I called up one of the distributors that I know, Michelle Alexandria of Glass House. And as we started talking about like advice to filmmakers, and she was kind of filling me in, we were like, why don't you just come in and do a happy hour and let's just talk about all this. So that's what we're going to do on October 28th. And I would really encourage all of you to sign up if you have any interest in learning more about distribution or the market. We will answer your questions. It'll be a solid hour-long happy hour. Again, that is with myself and Michelle, and that is on October 28th. There is a link attached here. So definitely check that out. The other resource is within our school, No Film School, No Trust Fund, No Problem. One of our modules deals entirely with understanding distribution and marketing. And as I said, I think that's key, and don't wait until you get to that process in order to understand it. So if you have an interest in digging in and feel like you are scared to be one of these horror stories of someone that sells their film and they never see a dime and are not able to pay their investors back, or somebody that just feels so overwhelmed by distribution that you don't do anything. I think it's very important that you understand it and that you know how to protect yourself. So that course has hours and hours of videos, a lot of workbooks and handouts and contracts. And really what we focus on is, let's talk about all the avenues of distribution. How do you find the right sales agent distributor? How do you pitch them? How do you negotiate a contract that is going to be in your favor? What do you need to look for? What are the deliverables? What are they going to ask you to deliver, and have you budgeted for that in your film? How does a film make money? Like it seems obvious, you sell it, you license it, but what is that trickle down of money? Who takes what at what point? And I think it's key for you in order to talk to investors, but it's also important that you understand, because it's not at all what you would think. And a lot more. So I would encourage you to check that out. It's understanding marketing, understanding distribution and marketing, which is part of our bigger program, No Film School, No Trust Fund, No Problem. And if you do decide that you want to dig in and do that deep dive, if you sign up for the course between now and November 1st of 2020, you could take 10% off and just use the code AFM10. So again, the code's AFM10, and you can get 10% off if you want to sign up for that before November 1st in preparation for this year's virtual AFM. So I wish everybody the best of luck in this phase. And again, this is just the start of a bigger conversation. So definitely join us for that happy hour. And I look forward to seeing you there or in the distribution course.